As we kicked off week 3 of our liveaboard adventure, we headed up into Hervey Bay proper and up the inside towards a spectacular part of the coastline.
Just left Big Woody Island and on our way up to Wathumba Creek, and just the colours of this gorgeous part of the world. My goodness.
Sails up, we made our way towards our anchorage and honestly just marvelled at the turquoise and crystal clear water along the way. Not long into the trip, a pan-sized mackerel decided it wanted to join us for lunch. So Jason helped it into the boat and prepared it for our arrival with a pretty spectacular backdrop. Just over 5 hours later, we found ourselves in paradise and anchored up for the next 3 days. A little bit down from Rooney Point and just south of Platypus Bay, it's a bit jaw-dropping pretty. And the perfect spot for one of our favourite coffees. Big thanks to Coffee Beans Delivered. You guys rock. We were keen to see the actual creek part of Wathumba, so we jumped into the tender for a quick squiz. But as soon as we'd navigated into the creek, the engine stopped. We were out of fuel. Luckily, Terry, our knight in 6 horsepower armour, and who was anchored there, saved the day and towed us all the way back to the boat. Embarrassed, but okay, we were very grateful for the rescue. It was actually quite fortuitous that we literally drifted into Terry's boat, as it would have been a very long walk pulling the tender in shallow water back to ARGO. Lesson learned there. Safely back on board, Jason redeemed himself with a lunch of delicious fresh mackerel sashimi. For everyone. All is good. In an attempt to keep fit while we're out here, Jason's begun joining me in some hybrid Pilates on the boat, and where we can, on the beach. It can be strenuous work on a boat, and there's the ubiquitous sundowner cocktails, of course, most nights, so we're keen to try and keep some balance. I've got a routine that takes about an hour, and despite the added complexity of wind and sand, it feels great to get the positive juju going to counteract all the anxious moments like when we're crossing bars. So a bit of a shout out to Mel, Cass and Irina from Centenary Pool and Gym for the years of Pilates tips. It's great to be able to keep up with the classes even if I can't hear your dulcet tones. yeah, here's Jason saying he's making up for the push-ups he missed in the side planking, but then kicking back and watching me do my own. I'll be counting next time. It's a good mix, combined with some swimming in the shallows, a beer on the beach, followed by mackerel and capers and lemon, and maybe a wine or two. Happy days. In the morning, we heard some splashing about and saw the fish were in a feeding frenzy. There were thousands of them. We jumped in the tender and raced out, and it was amazing to see so many fish just chowing down so hard. I managed to lose my lure to my fish. Jason got a couple and lost 2 lures, but they were all mac tuna, so nothing was coming home with us. So after an hour or so, we called it quits. But what a great experience. A weather check suggested we needed to alter plans, so we decided to sail back down the inside of Gari and then in the next week make our way up the Queensland coastline towards Bundaberg. Sails up, we guided ARGO down towards Moon Point, where we thought we might seek a bit of shelter from a nearly predicted northwesterly wind. But realising the tides into that very shallow anchorage would not work in our favour, we spotted a place called Wathumba Creek that showed protection from a long sandbank and looked to be as good of an option as anything else in the wind direction we were dealing with. How wrong we were. We're just down the road from Moon Point, and it's so rolly. It's 0.3 of a metre swell at every 3 seconds or so. But man, it's the worst roll we've ever been in. We've had some pretty rocky rolling nights. It's like going through the bar.
It is exactly like going through the bar.
It's crazy. Even Kitty's not happy. She's having a little lie down here, but I can't. Oh dear. So this is what we get for having such a beautiful day yesterday and having glorious beach fronts. This is here to remind us that it isn't always rosy. Oh, I think I'll be having some seasickness tablets, so it's pretty bad. So we've got the pretend Jesus. Got the pretend candles going and fairy lights, and we're just gonna ride this sucker out. After rocking and rolling all night with no sleep for anyone, we got up early and got the hell out of Dodge, finding a calm spot back over at Big Woody.
So we're sitting here now off Big Woody Island on the eastern side of Big Woody in calm conditions, bright blue sky, and it's quite tranquil, as opposed to last night where we were off Wathumba Creek, which is just around the corner from Moon Point, at the top end of where the bay opens up, I suppose, from the Sandy Straits. And we had the most horrendous night.
I want to say horrific.
Yeah.
It's the worst night we've had. It was like sleeping in the middle of the bar. It was just...
The Wide Bay Bar.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, not the local pub.
It was,
although, you know.
It was worse. The conditions were worse than crossing the bar when we came through the other day, and that was bad enough. Unbelievable for sitting there 100 metres from the shore and getting the same sort of conditions. But it was our fault because we didn't research the predicted weather well enough. We had a superficial look at it and didn't look deeply enough about what the swell size was going to be and the frequency of that swell.
I think that's it, because I did look. I thought I was being very clever, and I saw that the swell was 0.3 of a metre, and I went, well, that's 30 centimetres. That's nothing. What I failed to look at was the frequency, which was every 2.5 seconds. So, of course, now I know what, and it wasn't 30 centimetres either, the liars. It was at times like 0.6.
Yep. Frequently 0.6. We were getting far worse hull slaps and bridge deck slaps through last night than we got coming across the bar.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There was some really significant noises happening under the boat that I was trying not to look too concerned about.
Well, I think part of that was good for me to hear, because that helped me not panic about it, like to know what that feels like, to hear it and not stress about it. Of course, the cat was stressed out of her little furry mind, although she was pretty brave. She
was the bravest of all of us.
I think
but it was getting those hull slaps and bridge deck slaps in amongst the whole boat, rocking, like tipping over, and then being a part of that. It was just putting it all together.
The only time it calmed down, and we knew that it would calm down on the low tide, because where we were situated, there was a sandbank that we were sitting in behind. So when we came in on the low, it was actually quite calm, and
we knew it was going to be rocky and rolly, but we thought only up until midnight when the wind changed directions. We were exposed, but anywhere we went, because the wind was going to change in the middle of the night, we were going to be exposed somewhere. So we chose where we were. And then once it got really bad, we made the decision to stay there, not try and lift the anchor in those really rocky conditions. That it would have been more dangerous doing that than to sit there and wait it out, which, you know, I think that was the right decision, even though it was uncomfortable. It did calm down when that wind did change direction for a few hours, and with the tide as well. We got some more protection from that sandbank on low tide. Between about 11 and 2, I suppose, thereabouts.
It was probably closer to like 12:30 it settled. The low was at 2:30. The low was at 2:30. So we probably maybe through till about 3 o'clock in the morning, it was calmish. And then of course the tide started to come back in again, and it went back to this. And we slept upstairs here on this sofa. There was no going below. And when I say sleep,
we lay here.
And we had the life jackets out, and maybe that was overkill, but
I don't think it was. I think that was the perfectly sensible thing to do in those conditions.
Because we have them out to go over a bar in those conditions, and here we were, you know, and we were close to land. It was good that to know that the anchor could hold in such conditions.
Yeah, anchor did very well, and only someone just down from us, a couple of miles down from us, who was effectively exposed in the same way we were, had some sort of problem with their chain. We couldn't quite hear properly over the radio what the issue was, whether the chain broke or something happened, but they ended up on the shore. And the Coast Guard came out to get them off the boat and take them back to land. And I don't know what the situation is with their boat now, but you know, that could easily have been us as well. So it's never good anchoring on a lee shore, of course. But we thought we considered the conditions enough that we chose to do that, but we underestimated, and that's just a rookie mistake, that we should have researched those weather conditions much more than what we did.
And this one was, she was the calmest out of all of us. She kept coming out. She's got her own little bedroom, and she just kept coming out with all the noises just to check that is that normal. But you know, she wasn't skittish or anything. She just was looking for somewhere that wasn't rolly, and she wasn't the only one. I suppose we were talking this morning a little bit about, you know, what can you learn from that? Like where are the learnings for us in that night? And it's really, we did look at the weather, we did check where we should be, but it just wasn't thorough enough in terms of swell frequency. That gap was like, and it was 3.1 seconds was allegedly the gap when we first got there, and then overnight it was down to 2.5 and even 2s, and it was just this constant.
And on our side as well, with the current running in the direction that it was along the island, essentially we were turning side on to those waves, which then gave us those heavy slaps. So that wasn't helping at all. When we did turn around, it was a bit better, even though it was sort of hobby horsing forward. At least it was better to be into those that swell rather than hitting us on our side and feeling like we're not going to be flipped over, but very uncomfortably high up and getting those slaps at the same time.
I ended up, I had to take a couple of seasickness tablets. I luckily didn't have to use the bucket, but you kindly did bring it in just in case. But and they worked a treat, so that settled me down. But there was nobody wanted dinner, and it wasn't. I'm safe to say that was the worst anchorage we've had so far, and I hope that we don't have to repeat that. And like even now we've got a gentle rock happening, and we were just saying before, if you were here pre last night, you'd go, oh, it's a bit rolly, but this is luxury.
Absolute luxury.
Sheer luxury. So some of the things we did do, we brought the life jackets out. They were here, including Kitty's, sitting ready to go. We had the VHF running on all channels, not just 16, but we were scanning all of the channels for most of the night.
Had our AIS on as well.
So to make sure that we could be seen, but also to understand what was going on around us. We just messed up when it came to swells. And if you look at the coastline of Gari, it's all exposed. It's all perfect for sow and southeasterly, but we were getting a northwest, and I mean, it wasn't.
We couldn't. Oh, the other thing was we couldn't get around into Moon Creek, which would have given us protection from that, generally northerly wind, because of the tide. Otherwise, we would have been going in there in the darkness, and we didn't want to do that. We knew other boats were also in there. There's not a lot of room in there for many boats.
There's like 8 boats in there this morning.
Yeah.
So.
So just an interesting experience and a little bit more perspective for us about the sort of conditions you can experience, and a lesson to be learnt about researching better and how quickly those conditions can change.
We're still here though, so we'll keep going. It's not all sunshine and lollipops, but it's all good learning and it's all good experience. So I'm still happy to keep going, and hasn't put me off, but at least now I've got a new benchmark for what a really horrific night is.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it's good for us to be able to show, we post pictures and stories about all of the good times and sitting on the beach and how beautiful it is, and that is very beautiful, but not every day is like that. You get these days which are quite horrendous in between that shake your confidence a bit, and it's important to learn from them, and we will.
It's time for a nap now.
Yeah, for sure.
Lesson learned. I think that's a constant on a boat, isn't it? Our next plan is to head up the Queensland coast via Bundaberg. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying following along, and if you're so inclined, a like and subscribe helps the bot share our adventure. Cheers.